Let's go over our second Gladiator that we took on the Continental Divide. Yep, I know it's orange. This one is wrapped. This one is called Must Be Nice. It says so right there in case we forget. We'll begin with the wheels and tires. These are the Black Rhino Abrams wheels. It's a 17-inch rim. We're running the Nitto trail grapplers on this one as well. With this time we chose to go with a 37-inch tall tire to keep it real more of the traditional overland look and see how these things perform as well. I can tell you, performed fantastically well. We did squeeze a 37-inch spare underneath the back. Everything worked out fantastically up back there. We didn't even need to use it though. And keep in mind, we had some miles on this, about 5,000 plus miles on this trip. Almost all of that going up there was going to be off-road. Spectacular trip though. Let's talk about the vehicle. Underneath here, we have our Rebel Coil-over Kit. This is our Recon Coil-over Kit. We're running hydraulic bump stops, as well as a 2.5 coilover, and they are King coilovers as well. We got the anti-rocks. The anti-rocks work amazingly well once again. These particular ones, we run the aluminum arms. I'm a big fan of the aluminum arms. There's some new ones. These were the very first ones that were made for this particular vehicle. There were some prototypes that we were testing. They've got some new forged ones out as well now. So helping control the actual front of the vehicle. You know, it is an Ultimate Dana 60 axle, but for steering, we're actually using the Steer Smarts Yeti HD steering. It's the tie rod and the drag link, and I tell you what, performed fantastically well. You know, we're going over some high-speed stuff, some decent-sized boulders at high speed, and to have something where you know you've got some control, it's peace of mind for you out there. And again, the entire trip there, back, and every trip since, so we're very happy with it. Up front, we have our Summit bumper. This is actually running our mid-height hoop. The first vehicle we talked about has the low-height hoop. This is the mid-height hoop, and we also do a stinger on it. As well as this underneath, we have the skid. Each piece you can actually purchase individually and build your own system as to how you would like your vehicle to look. Warn winch, once again, big believer in this is insurance. You want to actually buy the best that you can buy when it comes to building your vehicles. Think of it this way, when it comes to something my grandmother used to say, you know, I'm too poor to buy cheap. So buy something that's going to be worthwhile, it's going to last, that you can use and also be proud of, hence our products. Up front here, we're running the Pro 6 lights on the front. I like the amber covers. They make a huge difference at nighttime, especially since we mount these ones down pretty low as well, and these ones are the spreads, so it gives us a good view in front of the vehicle. Up on the top, you can see there's some more KC lights up there. Those are the Pro 6s mounted to our Halo roof rack as well, and we'll get into those as we walk around the side of the vehicle. Now this vehicle here is running the Ultimate 60 axles front and back. Very strong. Again, I like to go with the big axles, especially since we are, you know, sometimes we're driving pretty rapidly over the terrain. And again, covering massive amounts of ground, it gives us fantastic peace of mind. So we want to put on all the best components that we can, and we piece each one together. You'll notice both of the Gladiators are built a little bit differently. We did that because we also enjoy testing the parts that we use. Suspension-wise underneath, we're running our Discovery arms once again, front and back. Very, very, very strong. You can bounce them off of rocks. They hold up fantastically well. And, you know, again, you want to put on the types of products that you know are going to hold up, hence us running our Discovery arms. As we walk around the vehicle, up on the top, we have our Halo roof rack. And again, Pelican cases. These are the new ones that that have just been released. We've been running those for quite a while. We just don't tell a lot of folks about them, but now they're out there so you guys can check them out. In addition to that, we have our sand tracks up on top. Fortunately, we didn't have to use them, but when we do need them, they're there. And in fact, you know, we actually split up because we have two of the Rebel Gladiators, actually 3 of them are going, but we broke up the different components and mounted a lot on one vehicle, such as the sand tracks. That way we would know that we've got the, you know, we know where this one is going. It's going to be right behind that one. If one of them gets stuck or something, somebody needs something, we divide up how we need things. Same thing when it comes to food, which I talked about a little bit earlier on. As we walk around, we have Pelican cases mounted on the sides, and these are on quick releases, so we can pull them. This is our some of our medical equipment. We wanted to make sure that we have really fast access to medical equipment, because we had quite a few guys with us, and we were, you know, having a great old time, and, you know, we were fishing and, you know, going exploring, and some of the terrain we were on. We wanted to make sure that we had medical equipment that we can, number one, count on. So when you're putting together a medical kit, put together the right stuff, add in some extra stuff, and in fact, we'll probably end up doing a video of some of the things that I choose for a medical kit when we're going on big trips. Propane tank. Well, the little canisters are great, but you know, you run them out and then you have to store them. You got them as trash. Now, when we run these small propane tanks and the propane tank mounts, I mean, they cannot go anywhere. They're fantastic. So big fan of these. Also, what I like to do, and you'll see it in the future videos, is I just take the hose, hook it right up to here, and go down to our stoves, etc., so that you don't even have to take the tank off the vehicle. This is our Half Height rack, and our Half Height rack on this particular one, you know, we keep it a little bit lower. You can put a Rotopax on the side, not have it interfere with the your tent that's going on the top. Rooftop tent on this one, we're running the Tepui tent, and we also have a Tepui awning out the back. Very good tents. This is actually a cold weather tent as well, so we did bring along the liner for the inside, but it really is such a good tent we actually didn't end up having to use that liner. Our Summit Series bumpers, they're incredibly strong, and we tested these things out many times, you know, Black Bear Pass, etc. A lot of people said, hey, you can't take the Gladiators down Black Bear Pass, especially because ours are pretty wide. Well, ours are wide and they're stable, but yes, it does get a little narrow. However, yeah, we had to back up a few times, especially on those switchbacks. They're incredibly tight. And for these, bouncing them off the rocks, bouncing them off the sides of the hills, man, of course they hold up. These are incredibly strong. You've got a huge big foothold here. You can put a big ski boot inside of there if you wanted to. In addition to it, we actually run a step slider on the side here. They're very strong. We put treads on both. The reason for that is, of course, you got crap on your boots, etc. You want to make sure if you're trying to climb up to get into the tent or trying to climb up to get on the roof rack, you're not actually slipping off of there. So it not only acts as a slider, also acts as a step, and you'll notice we actually tier them for a reason. It makes it easier to move around the vehicle. If you have a look around the back here, this is a very important feature, especially to keep yourselves happy when you're off-roading. Bottle opener. All right, well, obviously, you know, if you followed us in some of these adventures, you know, we like to partake, and when we do, we like to drink something that's worthwhile drinking. And you know, yes, I know it's a glass bottle. We're very cautious and careful with our glass bottles, but you know, a good beer is coming in a glass bottle. So, hence them. Around the back here, we have KC lights. We're a big fan of these lights. Again, these ones we put the amber dust covers on. The reason being is because when we get spread out across some of those open terrain, I mean, like Wyoming, we were putting our foot down to cross that terrain. It's big, open, wide areas, and lots of dust being kicked up. We want to make sure that we didn't run into the vehicles in front of us. As we look around the back here, again, Rotopax. We've got Rotopax mounted on the inside of here. This is actually how we utilize this particular vehicle. We had more equipment inside it, such as the videography equipment and photography equipment, as well as more camping equipment. Same thing when it comes to the fridge. We're running a Dometic fridge here. Again, having the right equipment makes life very enjoyable when you're off-road, especially when you're gone for an extended period of time. You know, for us, this was a 14-day trip. Here's our table mount. It's a 4-foot table that opens up into 7 feet, so that you can actually use it for meal prepping, for sitting down and having your meal, as well as to put your cook stove on. This vehicle here, we're also running a fire extinguisher on. Everything's on a quick pull, quick release. You know, even on our Rotopax, we were very cautious not to put the locks in case we need to get at something really fast. But that's also because we're not leaving the vehicles. We were around these vehicles all the time. So, you know, if we were leaving the vehicles for extended periods, we would change this out. Or if I wasn't going camping, this is out. It's sitting, sitting in the shop. It doesn't have to be sitting there all the time. Around the side, Rotopax once again. On these Rotopax, these are the storage ones. This is actually where we use our air up equipment. We aired up and down quite a few different times based on the terrain that we were on. You know, at certain times we were up around 13,000 feet, and at certain times we were down, leaving California where we are, we're almost at sea level. So airing up and down depending on which terrain we're at and which state we're in and what that terrain called for. This is where we keep our air up and down equipment. Of course, we use a trusty axe, and we use a very good shovel. And we're mounting these particular axe and shovel with our Rhino racks. We use our little standoff brackets to mount those, so that, again, these racks you can do anything you want with them. They're so universal. You can add anything you want to it, take off what you need. It really depends on which trip you're going on, how long the trip is for, what you're doing, where you're going. Tucked underneath there is the Ultimate Dana 60 axle. This is specific for the Gladiator. This is one we've been testing out for quite some time now. We put this on very early. Very happy with how it's working. We run A or Bs on on both the Gladiators. As far as getting some extra juice and extra performance out of there, this particular one's running 488 gears, but in addition to that, we're running MagnaFlow's new exhaust system that is actually built specifically for the Gladiators. So it gives some great tune. Most importantly, it gives great power. One of the things we noticed, especially at altitude, was the fact that we were climbing up. Their vehicles are very heavily laden, and we're climbing up some very steep grades. And it was really nice to be able to have some good power coming out of it. But also more importantly than just the power is you really don't want to have the rumble inside the vehicle, because that can be really annoying. When you're doing a big long trip, like I said, for 14 days, having a big rumble inside of there it'll wear you out, especially if you're bringing other people inside of that vehicle. I'm very happy with that exhaust system from MagnaFlow. Up on top, I know it's a little bit more difficult to see, but we do have a cell phone booster, and that was instrumental in trying to get some of the signal out that we did. The other one we actually did, the other Gladiator does have a satellite telephone inside of it for emergencies, but for basic communication, instead of having to use the sat phone, we also use a big antenna up there, and it's a cell booster. We can actually fold that down so it doesn't sit up so tall, but when we're in open areas, flip them back up, and the guys can use it for communication. Inside is going to be very similar to what we did on the last one. I'll open it up and show you part of it. We run, as far as GPS goes, we like to run the Gaia system, which is running on our iPad minis. And again, I take off where the rear view mirrors are, because you can't really see out when you have a lot of equipment. We use the RAM mounts to mount our iPad minis, which is our GPS system. In addition to that, we run additional RAM mounts in different locations throughout the vehicle so that we can mount phones to it, etc. As far as vehicle-to-vehicle communication goes, same as the last one, we like to run race radios, lots of different channels that we use, but we use our own channel most of the time. And we can get some good distance out of those, 30 to 40 miles, depending on the terrain that we're actually in. So we can get pretty spread out, avoiding all the dust, have great communications, and realistically, when you're building a vehicle to go on a trip like this, or you're prepping your vehicle to go on a trip like this, you really want to put on the best stuff that you can put on there, because you want to be able to have the most fun out there, have the most reliability out there. For us, we had, I think 8 or 9 guys with us, and making sure that on a trip like that, we all have jobs to get back to, we all have family to get back to, so you want to put on something that's crazy reliable. Hence, we build rigs like this. So stay tuned and follow along for some of our other walkarounds of the vehicles that joined us, and we'll see you out there on the trail.